You're now watching The Hot Seat, powered by XS Energy Drink. When you're drinking XS, you're drinking the best. And now, live from the CSL studio, your host, Nesta Cann.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Hot Seat, powered by XS Energy Drink. When you're drinking XS, you're drinking the best. All right, we are towards the end of the NFL season, and things are shaping up very nice, and things are getting very, 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 very sticky in terms of the standings, especially in the AFC, and the NFC is basically panning out the way we thought it would. Let's go over a couple of games this weekend, and this weekend was a wild weekend. Week 14 was definitely a big week in the NFL, and it helped make things a little closer, and it helped separate the standings for some of the teams. The Chiefs at the Ravens. The Chiefs were victorious 27-14 over the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens stuck in there for a little bit, for a while. Mahomes is, remarkable. He's like really talented. And this guy, I think he has a bright future ahead of him. But I noticed in that game with Mahomes, you can rattle him a little bit. Yeah, he has some flaws. Everyone has flaws. I noticed that the Ravens were throwing different blitz packages at him, giving him different looks that other teams have never really given him before. I think with Kareem Hunt not being there, kind of hurts them a little bit. But I think Andy Reid is going to have the Chiefs back on track. Eventually, they'll learn how to play without Kareem Hunt. But Mahomes, man, he did some things that game were just like ridiculous. The no-look pass, the pass where he was running and threw against his body all the way downfield. I think to Tyreek Hill it was. But they needed that win. Both teams actually needed that win. The Chiefs needed that win to keep ahead of the Patriots, who we will get to in a minute. Big loss for the Patriots. But the Chiefs improved their record to 11-2. For the Baltimore Ravens, they're 7-6. However, they're trying to win the division, and Pittsburgh has just been going downhill. So it's kind of helping out the Ravens a little bit that Pittsburgh is kind of struggling right now. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. Let's get to that Dolphins game. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 34-33 on a last minute. We won't say it was a Hail Mary, but it was a last-minute play where, the ball was being tossed around, and eventually one of the Dolphins players, I think it was Drake, found his way open, and Gronkowski, it was a one-on-one with Gronkowski, and, a running back is always going to be a tight end when it comes down to a one-on-one track race. Is this the end of the Patriots? I don't think so. We always count the Patriots out, but you always have to keep the Patriots in there. However, what it does is it hurts their percentages of getting the first round bye. Well, they'll get a first round bye if they end up as the number 2 seed. But to get the number 1 overall seed, I think the Chiefs are about to lock that up. With the Patriots lost, they fall down to 9-4. They'll still win the division easy, I think. Well, not easy. They're not. The Dolphins are not mathematically out, but I think the Patriots will still lock up that division and most likely lock up the number 2 seed. Even though the Chargers are 10-3, I think the Chargers are 10-3, but the Chargers can't get any higher than number 3 seed, I believe. But the Dolphins were victorious 34-33. It was a good win for the Dolphins. For the Patriots, they definitely have to get a lot of things together in order to get back to the Super Bowl. The defense is just, I don't know. The defense has been looking very, very shaky and suspect all year. Moving on to the next game, the Saints were victorious over the Buccaneers by the score of 28-14. Not much to say about that game, but I always tell people this: you don't know what Saint team you're gonna get. 1 minute the Saints look really good, they look unstoppable, and then the next minute they look kind of shaky. 1 minute Drew Brees looks like this great Hall of Famer that we know him to be. Next minute, he's out there throwing a whole bunch of silly passes that he knows he shouldn't be throwing. So, as for the Bucs are still rebuilding. So, The Giants were victorious over the Washington Redskins, 40-16. I think that the Giants, if they've been playing this way from the beginning of the season, or at least after the first 4 games, first 4 losses, they'll still be in the mix, seeing at the division that they're in. But too little, too late. At one point, it was 40-0, I believe, or 35-0. They were winning this game. Washington is Washington. Big shout out to my boy Jarvis, who was on the show a few weeks ago, and he said to me, I just don't trust Washington. They do this every year. They get their fans all hype and excited, and then they just crash, which is true. I think at one point Washington was like 6-3, and they just, I think ever since Alex Smith went down, they haven't been the same anymore. They now sit at 6-7. They're not mathematically out of the playoffs because they can still win the division and still get in. However, I think Dallas has a lot to say to that, especially with the win that Dallas had over the Eagles, which we'll get to in a minute. This week, I think Dallas basically wrapped that division up. Another division game was the Colts were victorious over the Texans by the score of 24-21. Good game on both sides of the ball from both teams. I think the Texans were coming in on a 9-game winning streak. They started off 0-3, and they won 9 straight. Frank Wright has those Colts playing like great. Andrew Luck is playing the way we knew Andrew Luck to play before he had the injury, and the addition of Frank Wright being over there, he's actually taking a lot of challenges, a lot of chances on 4th down. The offense is running, the offense is clicking. The key plays there, it was 2 minutes left in the game, and I think Clowney jumped off sides on 3rd and 1. Right there, the Colts were able to get the first down and milk out the clock. Right now, the Colts are trying to battle for one of the last playoff spots as well. As for Houston, I think they're definitely going to get in, seeing that they're going to win the division. As we all know, you win the division, you get a spot in the playoffs. Moving on to the next game, we had the Chargers victorious over the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 26-21. Chargers keep playing top-notch football. They'll definitely be in the playoffs. What they do in the playoffs, well, it all depends on how healthy they are. I guess you can say that with every team. Every team has to stay healthy. That's the key factor for every team to be successful. As far as the Bengals, well, no A.J. Green or Andrew Dalton, so, it's basically a wrap for them. Moving on to a team that needed to win that lost. The 49ers were victorious over the Broncos by a score of 20-14. The Broncos did not need to lose this game against a team that was 2-10. However, they found themselves in a position where they were down early, and they lost the game. You could say it's one of those. They say some games are trap games, so I guess this was a trap game for them. I don't know if they overlooked the 49ers, but Kittle ran all over them with a tight end. Kittle, I think he had up 210 yards in the first half, I believe. So, yeah, that was not a good loss for the Denver Broncos, who are trying to fight for one of those wild card spots in the AFC. A big game, which we just mentioned, the Dallas Cowboys were victorious over the Eagles by the score of 29-13. The Cowboys are playing good football right now. The addition of Amari Cooper was amazing. That's a good gamble by Jerry Jones. Hats off to Jerry Jones for pulling off that trade. It definitely helped out Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott in the offense. Big time. As we can see, Amari Cooper had 10 receptions for 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's a monster. Amari Cooper always had the talent. I always knew Amari Cooper had the talent, and I think it's like this for a lot of players in every sport: football, basketball, baseball, hockey. I think we've seen over the years, or throughout the years, watching sports, we've seen guys with talent come out of college or international, overseas, and we see the talent for the first year, and then as the years go by, we see the talent drop off, and we tend to say, oh, he was a bust or one-hit wonder, and then we see him going onto another team or get traded to another team or signed or as a free agent to another team, and then we see the talent come back again. Then we see the production come back. So I say sometimes it's not that the players are bust. Some players are bust, yes. Um, and then we have to watch the way we say bust because some guys suffer injuries early in their career and it's never the same again. And then some guys they just need to change the scenery. Some guys just need to be on a different team, different just need to hear a different voice, different coach, and that talent comes back. 'Cause I won't say the talent comes back, but you start to see that player performing at a high level again. And I think this is the case for Amari Cooper. I think for Amari Cooper, that whole Raider system. You see, the first year, he first 2 years actually, I believe, he was a stud. He had a lot of upside. He was a great talent. But then after a while, we started seeing his stats go downhill from there, from the first couple of seasons, and we all thought, okay, he's a bust. He's not the same. But it was just the whole system, the whole toxic system with the Raiders and the whole John Gruden thing. Even before John Gruden got there, he had a couple of bad seasons before John Gruden got there. So he just needed a change. And I think the Cowboys is a great fit for him. So hats off to Amari Cooper. Keep doing your thing, my brother. But I wanted to see the Eagles win this game only because I wanted to see a tighter race. Because if the Eagles would have won, the Eagles would have been 7-6, and the Cowboys would have been 7-6. And then the Giants would have, or where they are right now. I believe the Giants are now 5-8. So it would have still been a little bit close. So I like to see towards the end of the season, things getting really close because now both teams are playing for something. So that wasn't the case here. The Cowboys were victorious over the Eagles, and it looks like the Cowboys, I won't say are going to run away with the division, but they have a little breathing room now. As they sit at 8-5, and the Eagles sit right behind them at 6-7, as well as the Washington Redskins. Now, a team that I'm very concerned about is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to that game. The Raiders were victorious over the Steelers by the score of 24-21. I didn't see too much of the game, but I saw a little bit of highlights, and I definitely saw bad football from the Steelers. It's like 1 minute you get great football from the Steelers, and then it's the next minute it's like, oh, really? And I always say all comes down to the quarterback. And Big Ben, I think that it's time for the Steelers to look for a replacement. He's in the same category as Eli a little bit. I mean, they came in the same class, but I think he falls in the same category as Eli. We always think that they have at least 1 or 2 more years left inside of them because they're great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But as we can see, they just make bad decisions and bad mistakes during the game. And that was a game that Ben Roethlisberger didn't have a good game. Juju had a decent game, 8 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Antonio Brown's pretty quiet in this game. No Le'Veon Bell, of course, but he's not playing this season, and no James Conner. So that kind of helped them too. They didn't really have a running game. And their kicker. These, you know something? I've been telling a lot of my friends and a lot of people, it's like ever since they made the rule change where they push the field back where the kickers have to kick for a little bit farther now. That's been a big thing, and to us it's like, wow, okay, they pushed it back a little bit. Like, wow, all the kickers do, that's all they do for a living, just kick. And I agree, that's all the kickers have to do and have to focus on every game. It's just to stretch, warm up, be on the sideline, and be ready to kick. But I was listening to, I think it was ESPN, and they asked one of the kickers, you guys have the easiest job. Why do you guys miss a lot of field goals? And I think he was saying, I think it was Elliott from the Eagles. He said, we don't take as much physical hits as the quarterbacks, the running backs, and wide receivers. We're not on the field as much, taking a lot of blows. However, it's more of a mental thing for them, knowing that, okay, if I don't make this, and the game is going to be lost because of me. And I thought about that. Most of the times when the kickers are throwing inside there, they're throwing inside there to do extra points, 3 points added on to the score. But then there are a lot of times where they're thrown in the game to decide whether the team is going to win or lose. So it's like a lot of pressure on them. So I understand, but I don't understand what's been going on for the last 2 years with these kickers, man. They've just been missing. They've been awful. I mean, like, wow. I remember you could find like at least like 5 years ago, we knew who the guys who were automatic. As a matter of fact, a lot of kickers were automatic. But when I say automatic, I mean automatic from 35, 40, 50 yards. We knew who the guys were. We were just, the Vinatieri's and those guys. And, we knew those guys were money. But now we can't. These guys are not money. Even Vinatieri and these guys who were money, who are still hanging on right now. Some of the guys are still playing in the league. They're not money anymore. Some of the good kickers who were pretty decent years ago, they're not good anymore. It's not even about their age. I don't know what's going on with the kickers. They has been missing and costing a lot of teams ties and losses. And for this one, getting back, I don't want to digress too much on kickers, but the Steelers lost because their kicker, I think he missed like 2 field goals, and he missed one critical one that would have helped them win the game, and it was not even close. I think he hit the back of, when he kicked the ball, it hit the back of his own players in the back. So I'm like, it's just bananas. Moving on to the next game. The Lions were victorious over the Cardinals, 17-13. Not much going on there. None of those two teams are going to make it to the playoffs, so we'll skip that game. A big game that was on Sunday Night Football. The Bears were victorious over the Rams by the score of 15-16. That Bears defense is looking pretty good, man. I kept saying, oh yeah, they're looking good. 2 weeks the Bears will look good. Their defense will look pretty good, and then the next week they'll give up 50, 60 points. Well, not 50, 60 points, but they'll give up about 20 to 30 points. They'll come back, look good the next week. Next week after that, they'll come back, give up another 30 points. So I noticed that in NFL too, besides the kickers, we don't have any more lockdown defense. Like we always had the Seattle Seahawks. We knew every game what Seattle was going to bring. The Ravens D back in the 2000s. Even a couple of years ago when we had the Jaguars were pretty solid. The Vikings. Now it's like this year's the so-called top teams that were projected to be the best defenses are just like giving up a lot of points, especially Jacksonville. Well, that's another story for another time, but especially Jacksonville. And these teams that are really, really good, like the Rams and the Chiefs and the Saints, they're scoring 40 to 50 points, but then you look at their opponent is only 3 points behind them with 47 points. So you're scoring a lot, but then you're still giving up a lot. So it goes to show this has definitely become more of a passing league, and no one's playing any defense anymore. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But yes, for the Rams, the second loss of the season, I think they'll still get number 1 seed, and they'll still have home field advantage throughout, and they most likely won't be playing any cold weather games this during the playoffs. So they're still in good position to lock up the number 1 seed for the playoffs. Some other games I want to go through real quick. The Packers were victorious over the Falcons by a score of 34-20. Aaron Rodgers looked good. Who becomes the next head coach? We don't know. As far as the Falcons, I think the Falcons have to break that team up. They have to start all over, find out what they want to do with Matt Ryan, if he's the quarterback for the future. Julio Jones, I tell people this a lot, and people always think I'm crazy. I think Julio Jones is done. Sorry, he is done. He's not done. He probably has 1 or 2 more years left in him, but I don't know. If someone comes with me with an offer and gives me a first and second round pick for Julio Jones, I'm taking it. I'm running away with it, and I'm taking it. And I'm gonna build around Ridley, Hooper. They have a decent running back, and that's another thing too. I don't know how Freeman's injury is. That's another question mark right there as well. And Matt Ryan, just if they can find a replacement for Matt Ryan, get a couple of picks for Julio, and get that defense back healthy and get them back going again. Maybe Atlanta will be back on track with it in another year or two. But yeah, they have to definitely look to see if they can trade Julio and get some value from him, and get rid of Matty Ice. See if you can get him, ship him off somewhere and get like a second or third round pick for him as well. The Browns victorious over the Panthers by a score of 26-20. I like the fact that Cleveland, they're actually playing good football right now. They're 5-7-1 and they're not mathematically eliminated out of the playoffs yet. Not yet. One more loss, they'll be gone, but they're still hanging in there. And ever since they fired their coach, which they should have fired a long time ago, they've been playing pretty good football, you know. As far as the Panthers, Cam Newton, oh my, they lost 5 in a row. They were 6-2. Cam Newton was looking like Superman, and I always tell people, you know, Cam is the man. I always, you know, brag about Cam Newton, and now I'm looking like a fool now, Cam. Thank you, Cam Newton. But yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. I definitely do not know what's going on over there. I don't know what Ron Rivera has going on. I don't know if it's, you can't say it's injuries. They haven't really suffered any major injuries besides Olsen, but they started off very hot. They started off at 6-2, and now they just lost 5 in a row. And just Cam is not playing well. But McCaffrey's playing pretty well. The running back is playing pretty well. The wide receivers are up and down, but I just don't know what's going on over there in Carolina. The Jets were victorious over my Buffalo Bills by a score of 27-23. Not much to say about this game, but two teams trying to build around their future franchise quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. Yeah, the Bills are the Bills. Hopefully next year we'll be much better. We draft better. We get rid of McCoy and get rid of Clay. We got rid of Benjamin already, which it was way overdue. We should have got rid of Benjamin a long time ago. I think Shady McCoy should go next. See if we can get some picks from him. We're not going to get a first rounder. I'll take a third, fourth, or second and third, whatever we can get from McCoy. Trade him, get him out of town. Let's get younger. Get rid of Clay. That was a bad contract that we signed him to. Get rid of him. And just start over fresh, man. I'll suffer for the next 3 years as long as I see progress. I don't mind suffering, but if I see the team getting better and better, that's where I don't mind. And, of course, the Titans were victorious over those stinky Jaguars by a score of 30-9. The Jaguars fooled everybody this year, especially with that big win over the Patriots this season. And then after that, it's been downhill for them. So that's where we stand right now after Week 14. I'm going to break down Week 15 in the National Football League. Of course, you know, my partner, host Lloyd Daniels, is on vacation. So wherever you are, Lloyd, hope you're having a good time. I'm holding it down for you today, buddy. All right, the big Thursday night game, the Chargers at the Chiefs. 10-3 versus 11-2. Wow. This is a big game for the Chargers as they're trying to catch the Chiefs. If they get this game, they can catch the Chiefs. Hopefully put themselves in that position to get the number 1 seed. But I think Mahomes right now is just playing out of his mind. Arrowhead is going to be rocking. The whole town's going to be rocking. It seems like the Chiefs had a lot of home games this season. Every time I turn around, they're at home. Wow. Anyway, maybe just the red that they're wearing. Every time I'm seeing red, so, you know. But, yes. For this game, I think the Chiefs are going to be victorious. I think the Chiefs are going to come out. It's going to be a close game because the Chargers have a good defense. I've got, I want to say a high-scoring game, but then again, you never know. I'm thinking more of along 30-24, 30-27 Chiefs. Saturday's game. Oh, well, we have a game on Saturday. So we have the Texans at the Jets. So the Texans come to MetLife to play the Jets. I think this one is going to be, I have the Texans winning 24-13, 24-10, somewhere around there. I think they're trying to lock it up right now. And I think the Jets right now, they should just, no team wants to just lose just to get high picks. Every football player or any pro athlete will tell you that's not the goal, is to lose. They're trying to win every game. But for right now, the Jets are not going anywhere. Their best bet is just lose every game and just get a high pick. Yeah, 24-10, 24-13. I've got the Texans winning that one. Browns are going to Mile High Stadium to visit the Broncos. Broncos winning this one. I think the Broncos going to pull this one off. I think it's going to be a close game, 24-21. I like the Browns. The Browns been playing pretty tough and pretty hard this season. I have the Broncos winning 24-21. And I think those are the two games for Saturday. 2 games on Saturday. Wow. Okay. Sunday, the Cardinals at the Falcons. So the Cardinals head down to the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I happened to have the pleasure of visiting last week. Definitely a nice stadium. I still like the Minnesota Vikings. And what is it? Something Bank Stadium. Anyway, I don't want to digress with the topic, but Falcons definitely have a nice stadium. I was there last week when they lost to the Ravens, but this game, I think, wow, both teams are playing bad football right now. But just because the Falcons are home, I'll give the Falcons the heads up, and I think I'll give the advantage to the Falcons. 24-10 as well in this game. But then again, I could be wrong because the Cardinals have been playing pretty tough and playing teams pretty well this last couple of weeks. But 2 bad teams playing bad football. So 24-10. The Lions head up to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills. Another 2 teams that are playing bad football. I said it's another close game. This seems like a 13-10 kind of low-scoring game. Too bad the Bills are not in the playoff hunt right now, or else this could have been a big game for them. So 13-10 Buffalo, because they're in Buffalo. Not too much to say about that game. Big game, Packers at the Bears. I think the Bears are going to win. I think the Packers are just going to have to cough it up and say, you know what? We have to regroup and come back again next year. So, with that said, I've got the Bears, especially where the Bears defense has been playing. I have the Bears winning this one somewhere around 27-17. Unless Aaron Rodgers comes out of nowhere and has this spectacular game. But I think it's about over. I think the Bears have basically locked up that division, depending on what the Vikings do tonight on Monday Night Football. But yeah, this is a game where I think the Bears are definitely going to lock it up and win the division. 27-17 Bears. The Raiders head over to Paul Brown Stadium to face the Cincinnati Bengals, another 2 teams who are out of it and just going to have to regroup for next year. Not much to say about this game, but I have I take the Raiders with the upset. Well, I won't say upset, but going into Cincinnati and beating the Bengals 21-17. 21-17 Raiders. Here's a good game. We've got the Cowboys heading over to Lucas Oil Stadium to Indianapolis to face the Colts. This is going to be a tough one. I think the Colts will pull off this victory with the score as 24-21. It's going to be a close game. I think it might come down to the kickers in this game. 24-21, I'm going with the Colts over the Dallas Cowboys. Vikings at the Dolphins. Well, no, the Dolphins at the Vikings. USA Bank Stadium. That was the stadium I was referring to. If you haven't been there, you should go and check it out. A wonderful stadium that they built, I believe, 2 years ago. Great stadium. US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yes, home of the Vikings. So the Dolphins head down to the US Bank Stadium to face the Vikings. Both teams need this win. The Dolphins need this win to stay in the hunt to make the last and final wild card. I remember back in the days when 9-7 used to get you in the AFC. Well, both. 9-7 used to get you in, get your wild card. Now 9-7 is not good enough anymore. Sometimes 10-6, you finish the season with 10-6, and you still can't get in the playoffs. But I wonder why that is. 9-7 used to get a lot of teams in the playoffs back in. Sometimes 8-8 gets you in, but 8-8, 7-9 has gotten teams in the past. However, I think those were division winners that 8-8 and 7-9 gets you in. But I remember 9-7 used to get you in the playoffs. Now it's like 9-7 doesn't get you in anymore. So I'm looking at the Dolphins right now. They sit at 7-6, and what they're saying is that teams that are 7-6 right now, with 3 games left, they can't afford to lose anymore. I'm like, well, they could win 2 more and lose 1 and finish 9-7 and get in. Well, not anymore. 9-7 does not get you in the playoffs. So right now, I think the Dolphins need this game more. I think they would go. I think they're gonna pull off the upset. They're gonna go into Minnesota and pull off the victory over the Vikings. It's gonna be another close score. It's gonna be probably somewhere 23-20. 23-20. I've got the Dolphins beating the Vikings. Titans come to MetLife to face the Giants. I was gonna say, I'm like, aren't the Jets playing home? So how are the Giants playing home as well? I forgot the Jets are playing on Saturday and Giants are playing on Sunday. So a busy week for MetLife in New York. I've got the Titans winning this because they need it more. I've got the Titans winning this game 27-14 over the New York Giants, or as Lloyd would say, New Jersey Giants if he was here. So Titans definitely need this to get into the playoffs. They're still in the hunt for the wild card, so I think they'll win somewhere with 27-14 around there. The Washington Redskins at the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2 teams are definitely not going anywhere. Washington is not eliminated yet. However, they're not. It's only a matter of time before they get eliminated with 1 more loss. Jacksonville is Jacksonville. I don't know what Jacksonville should do next year. I don't know if coach should go. I know Blake Bortles has to go. They should have gotten rid of him 2 years ago. Why they gave him a contract extension, I don't know. But it is what it is. They're gonna have to see what they can do on defense too. If Ramsey and those boys are the real deal. But they have a lot of changes to make this upcoming off season, as well as a lot of teams. But they're one of the teams that have to regroup after having a pretty good season last year. The score for this game is another bad game. I'll give it another 13-10 or 16-13 kind of score. I think the Jaguars will win. 16-13 Jags, just because they're home, and in Washington, ever since Alex Smith went down, they don't know what they want to do with their quarterback position. So Buccaneers at the Ravens. I think the Ravens are definitely going to pull out this victory. They're still in the hunt. I think they're still leading their division as well. Let me show them right here. Nope. Steelers are actually in front, I think, by a game. But I think this game is going to be somewhat like 27-10. 27-10, I'm taking the Ravens home over the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've got the Seahawks at San Francisco 49ers. Richard Sherman goes against his old team once again. And once again, I think the Seahawks are going to be victorious over the San Francisco 49ers. I give this game 27-10. Or 27-17 Seahawks. I give this one. Seahawks win 27-17. Big game. Patriots head over to Heinz Field to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a tough game. I don't know what to think about this game. Somehow I think the Patriots are going to pull off the victory. The Steelers are not playing well at all. So I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be somewhat like a 27-24 or 27-20 game. I think the Patriots win by like a touchdown or a field goal. On to the next game, the Eagles at the Rams, a big game. I think the Rams are going to pull this one off and put the Eagles to bed. And when I say put the Eagles to bed, after this next loss, I don't think the Eagles are going to mathematically be eliminated from the playoffs because they're not going to be able to win the division, or they're not going to be able to get a wild card with their 8th loss. So, with that said, 34-20 Rams. And a Monday night game, which would have been a big game if the Panthers wouldn't have lost 5 in a row. The Saints at the Panthers. With that said, I think the Saints will pull off this victory. I think they're gonna blow them out. To tell you the truth, I think it's gonna be somewhat like a 35-17 kind of game. So that's what we stand for Week 15 in National Football League. Those are my predictions for this upcoming week for Week 15. Final thoughts. It's been a great season so far. It's getting very interesting right now. As we look at the playoff standings, we have the Chiefs currently sitting in number 1 spot overall at 11-2. The Patriots sitting in number 2 spot with the record of 9-4. Houston Texans in number 3 spot at a record of 9-4. The Pittsburgh Steelers sit at number 4 at 7-5-1. The 5th seed, the Los Angeles Chargers. I keep calling them San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers sit at 10-3. You might wonder, how is the fifth seed at 10-3? You know, and they have more wins than the team at number 2, because the 5th seed is in the same division as the number 1 seed. So that's the highest they can go right now, unless they leapfrog over the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs will go from 1 to 5, which is kind of crazy the way they have things. And then the teams that are still in the hunt are the Baltimore Ravens at 7-6, the Indianapolis Colts at 7-6, Miami at 7-6, Tennessee at 7-6, and the Denver Broncos at 6-7. Slim chances for those teams, but who knows? As far as the NFC is concerned, the New Orleans Saints sit on top at 11-2 with the number 1 seed. The Rams sit in the number 2 seed at 11-2. The number 3 seed, the Chicago Bears at 9-4. The number 4 seed, the Dallas Cowboys at 8-5. The number 5 seed, the Seattle Seahawks at 7-5. The number 6 seed, the last playoff spot right now, if things were to end today, are the Minnesota Vikings at 6-5-1. Teams in the hunt, trying to get to that 5th and 6th seed away from trying to take the 5th and 6th seed away from the Seahawks and the Vikings, are the Carolina Panthers at 6-7, the Eagles at 6-7, and the Washington Redskins at 6-7. I believe the Packers are still mathematically in it with the record of 5-7-1, but yeah, they most likely won't be making it in. And that wraps up another episode of The Hot Seat, powered by XS Energy Drink. When you're drinking XS, you're drinking the best. Yours truly, Nesta Cann. Take care, and God bless.